Hey there. I am jumping in because I want to just say hi and share some vulnerable bits with you and love on you for being human, right? We're all these humans. It's such a diverse experience. And we all are carrying our dreams, our visions, our hurts, our traumas, our desires, our fears, our courage, our love, our pleasure, all of it. It is so rich when we really allow ourselves to be human and feel it all. And in this time particularly, right? This time is so wild. I was just thinking yesterday, this thought comes up every once in a while, like as a human race, as a species, we just came out of a global pandemic, right? And all that shifted and brought up, and deep primal stuff, both in like deeply hard and in an invitation to move into some more positive ways about relating to our lives with less push and more time to just invite the being and feel what that feels like, right? The whole COVID pause was such this in your face pause. And what does it feel like when you can't do anything? Right? And we're just coming out of that, and in some essence reweaving who we want to be in this time. The culture is trying to reweave itself and making some shifts, hopefully. And we personally get to reweave ourselves and feel like, how do we want to show up now? What are we leaving behind? So that thought came up to me yesterday as well. But I just also wanted to share a little bit with you about, the experience that I had recently about getting out of my own pleasure practices. So as you know, probably, I work with embodiment, feminine embodiment, and quote unquote pleasure. And that word can invoke so many things, but really it's self-care in action. It's the permission to drop out of the busy mind and feel our bodies, feel the sensuality, the experience of the senses, which brings presence. And in that, a whole different neurochemical thing happens in our brain. And it's good for our brains. We can heal through these simple pleasure moments. We can relax our stress through simple pleasure. So this is very much my own practice and what I teach women. But in the last couple of months for me, I have really dropped out of my own practice. And it has showed me so deeply why this is important. For me, why I started it for myself, and why I am so passionate about sharing it with other people. So starting probably in early December, I started actively launching a lot of my program. Hello, Jen. And putting a lot of energy into, activating my business, trying on sales, trying on growing my edge in a whole new way, which I've done a lot of in the past, but it just was in a new program and some new lessons and learnings that I was doing. And during that period of time, I just really dropped out of my own pleasure practice and got really stuck in my head and really stuck in my fears without the practice of calming them and nourishing them and being with them through the simple pleasure practices in life that I do. And what I felt happened during December and January and then even into February is I just got more and more like obsessed in my mind about these things. Obsessed in my mind about the lack, feeling the lack of people not signing up, feeling the deep doubt about my work. You know, all of these things that come up for us as entrepreneurs, absolutely, as humans, right? We all have deep fears. We all have anxious feelings. We all have all of the stuff, stuff that triggers our nervous system. So this was really amping up for me a whole lot because I wasn't also nourishing myself with the practices of pleasure and self-care, with my practices of, going into my womb space as the sacred root and ground of creativity. For me, the womb practice is a grounding rod into my body as a woman, out of my head, into the body, the intuition, the creativity, and the pleasure. Thank you, Jen. And so without all of these things, I noticed myself going into this hyperdrive. And and then my family got sick. We were all sick for about 2 or 3 weeks. There's that as well, right? We were all home, our bodies were sick. I wasn't in my own routines because my child was home, and I wasn't taking that time because I had already kind of echoed out of that part of my life as a daily practice. And I think that's important for us to remember, right? It's not this place we arrive. We don't like master it and then we're just like there. It is a daily practice. It's a daily commitment and devotion to ourselves and our bodies, to our nervous system, to our self-nourishment. And without that, for me, it ramped up and ramped up and ramped up until recently I noticed before I went to bed, I was thinking so hard and feeling all the fears around my business, around money, around not being enough, around never being able to do it. And from there, my center of feeling the worth and knowing the worth of my work started dissolving. Started questioning the worthiness of myself, my work. And even felt myself unraveling into this sense of what am I even here for? What do I even do? What do I do? I don't even know what I do. Right? And these are the deepest questions that we feel at points in time in our life. And without the nourishment, the self-nourishment, the pleasure, the daily self-care, my practices of grounding and womb, it all got stuck in my head. And I started not being able to go to sleep. My sleeping patterns started to get off, and I started to feel my anxious nervous system really ramping up. And so, I just want to share this with you because even those of us that are in the practice of inviting and embodying the practice of coming home to our bodies and our pleasure and our self-care and our presence, we can get derailed. And it really showed me the incredible importance of the work that I do, now that I'm kind of on the other side of it. The importance of the work that I do. For myself, for my own daily self, because without it, I spin out and I don't feel like I know why I'm here. That's my big, deepest question. What am I here for? How do I fit in? How do I belong? So without that practice, it just started becoming more and more and more and more into those depths of anxiety and even depression. So as I start again to now kind of on the other side of that, today was the first day my child went back to school in like 24 days, had my morning practice. I sat with my body. I used my yoni egg. I caressed myself. I sat in my lovely bed and did my morning ritual with my tea. They're very simple practices that we can, invite and bring into our lives. And sometimes it's just a reminder and permission, right? For so many of us, it's okay to take that time. And without that time, life becomes a fuckload harder. Yeah. So having these things in place, having a place where we can be supported and encouraged and given the permission and guided to unwind the thoughts that make it so it feels like that's not okay to take that kind of time, right? So many layers there for us as women to unwind. And I got to also last night lead the first circle of my book club, and I'm with 12 women, and I am made to facilitate circles with women going deep and revealing themselves in transformation. And that was the opening of our book club last night around a really powerful book with a lot of vulnerable things that come up around the book. And I've landed back in like, yes, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. So the pleasure supports the self-care, that self-nourishment, supports the coming home to the body where then we can birth our worthiness and really anchor in what we're here to do and be on the planet. So I just really felt called to share that here today, because being human and allowing ourselves our humanity and being seen in our humanity is also an incredibly essential piece to coming home to our bodies. Thank you, Jen. So lovely to have you here, feeding all that energy right back to you. Thank you. And I just want to finish this off with a kind of a statement that came to me the other day, and that is that self-love in action is what heals our worthiness wounds. I'll say that again. Self-love in action is what heals our worthiness wounds. You are worthy of self-love. You are worthy of actively loving yourself through self-care and pleasure. And every time you do that, you remind yourself, I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And you're worthy. So sending out so much love to you. And have a day where you choose maybe one thing where you can self-nourish, ground, feel your womb, breathe in, love yourself. And feel how that melts away some of the anxiety and the fear and the nervousness. Pleasure is so good for our nervous system. It supports us in every way. Sending out love. Bye-bye.